Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beyond Biology, the Gayla Mack story, the child loved by many. Um, so I think I left off on my last video. Just as a recap, I kind of shared with you all that I was adopted. My mom was white, my dad was black, biracial, the struggles I had looking for her in the beginning of this journey. So we found my birth mom, kind of told you a little backstory about that. And then we were talking, I think I left off where there was a little bit of colorism in family. Growing up, there was some colorism, not really in my mom's side of the family, but my dad's side of the family. So my dad, I went to spend a couple of weekends down in Columbus because all of us are located in Ohio. But my dad's family was in Columbus, Ohio. So it was still in Ohio. We were all in Ohio. So I would go down there because I'm home alone. My siblings are older. They're, and doing their own thing. My oldest brother, I think he was married by then because I'm in high school. I just skipped to the high school, all that stuff. But growing up, like going summers to Columbus, I would visit my dad's people. One of my uncles didn't really care for me. And he always asked my dad, why did you go get that white baby? There's plenty of black babies to be adopted. My dad, that fueled the fire for him. He was hot. He told his uncle, I love you, you're my brother. However, that's my child. You either accept her or you don't accept her. She don't have to ever come back down here again. But he was one of the uncles that kind of like stayed in a lot of trouble. Kind of black sheep because he was kind of a bad person. But he, for some reason, did not like me. The rest of them made me feel pretty okay. It was, like I said, colorism. If they get mad at you, I was an Oreo, white girl. You ain't really our cousin. You're not my blood relative. When you get mad, that's what I heard from my dad's side. I never heard that or anything like that from my mom's side. And not saying that my dad's people weren't loving, because my aunt he only had one sister, my Aunt Nellie. She was very sweet. Her kids were sweet. But it's just them uncles, that one uncle. My other uncle, he actually adopted a kid as well. So he was the youngest. And a little backstory on my dad. He had a rough childhood, so he migrated from Alabama to Ohio. When he turned 18, there's something that went down with his mom and his dad. My dad ended up being passed around because his mom was killed, so he was being passed along. Him and his siblings were being passed through family members, which was a very, very rough life. He told me about it. One time we were just sitting out on the porch and we used to go fishing. He used to take me fishing all the time. So we always had those father and daughter talks. But he told me his childhood was really rough. And then when he got old enough, he was able to migrate to Ohio, stayed with an uncle locally. And then when he became 18, he was able to not really adopt his siblings, but kind of have them all. He had a nice job. He worked at, I think that was called the Brass. I don't know what the actual name of the company was, but everybody called it the Brass. So back then it was a lot of industrial jobs. A lot of black folks did really well in Ohio. So that was his job. He worked at the Brass, worked very, very hard, but was a very hard-working man. But he was able to bring his siblings. His sister was the oldest, but still a baby because they babies. But when he got his own place, he was able to bring his siblings all together. And then when they start growing up, going their separate ways, that's how they migrated into Columbus. So most of them, the brothers went to Columbus. And then there was one that kind of traveled farther out to Tacoma, Washington. My Uncle Joe, he didn't really be around family a lot. He loved them, but he wasn't always around them. Him and my dad were very close, but so that's how my dad's childhood was. He was beaten a lot. He was, you know, passed along from family to family. So I think that's why he loved me so much. He didn't want me to feel that type of pain. And it really shows what kind of people my mom and dad were, um, could give that type of love because they went through it. They were a lot older, so they adopted me. My mom was, I think she was 40 and he was like 39 because they're like 3 months apart. They're born May, June, July, so 2 months apart. So my mom was born in May, my dad was born in July. So she was always older. But on my birth certificate, it showed that she was 40 when they adopted me. So, woo, can you imagine? Ooh, child, 40 years old with a baby? No, baby, I won't be able to do that. So one that shows great love because, ooh, I'm 50, I'm 58, I'll be 59. So just thinking like that little while ago, at 40 years old, to have a baby, no, not no 6-month-old baby, no thank you. But that just shows how much, you know, they nurtured and loved me. My dad totally loved me. He did not let anyone bother me. I remember him telling my brothers when they were young that anybody touch her, anybody do anything to her, you better go to her aid. Don't let nothing happen to her. I'm trusting you with my baby girl. So if anything popped off, they were always there for me. So that just goes to show the love that he had for me. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because people don't talk about colorism in families a lot. And even if I'm sorry, I'm slugged all over. Even if you're adopted, um, you know, family is family. They're going to do what they're going to do. But I can say in my mother's side of the family, we are multicultural. Um, there's Indian, there's white, black, Korean, Japanese. We're a rainbow tribe. So we didn't have any of that in our family too much. I mean, there's probably some family members that did little stuff, you know, but for the most part, very loving family. Just very, very loving. So never had any kind of trauma from my childhood. I can say nothing. And my aunt that helped raise me, it's like a tribe of women that helped raise me, of course, because, you know, of course, my mom and dad end up separating. However, my dad pulled me aside and said, no matter what me and your mama go through, and he said it just like that, I will always love you and I will not be far away. I will never move away from you. And I will always be here for you. And he was to the day he died. I moved away, but he never moved away. And he always would pick me up every weekend, would come get me during the week. You know, when he could do things with me, he would, because he was a hardworking man. As I said, my mom was hardworking too. But he would come and get me all the time. I spent a lot of time with my daddy. So I'm a total daddy's girl. I love my mama too, but I'm really a daddy's girl. I really am. And I miss him every day. All right, so let's get into the, let's see here, the ancestry side. So we opened that up. So remember, I shut it down, and then we had reopened it a few times. So the last part, I think we talked about, when I shut it down, it had been some years after I found my mom. So I'll say from 2016, we opened it up maybe twice in 2018, 2019, then COVID hit, but we were still searching for my dad. And we did find this one young lady who matched with she matched with me. She was, I think I said it earlier in my video, she matched with me. She was like my second cousin, and it was kind of like a roller coaster in the merry-go-round because we probably some kin somehow, but she wasn't in my direct family and bloodline, so we were looking in the wrong place. But Julia, Miss Research, had already had the information from where she was looking elsewhere, and she was like, I got this information somewhere. When things start to come about, she said, I got this information somewhere. But I end up giving up. I was like, girl, I'm shutting it down. I'm not doing this no more. And, you know, it's because they didn't have my dad's name on the birth certificate. It just said Negro child, ain't that something? Negro child, and then it had no daddy's name, but it had my mama's name. And she was 32 at the time she had me. So we kind of knew about the age. We was like maybe thinking my dad was a little older, maybe a little younger, but we tried. We tried everything. And it was kind of like going into the other Miller Hill family, which is Miller Hill. That's where we kept hitting the hits, getting the hits from. And like I said, some way it's intertwined in an ancestry. Like I said, it's such an amazing tool. It'll probably end up showing you exactly where the Hill, what is it, the Harper Hill family, Miller, that is, they're my cousins somehow, but they're not my immediate bloodline. So now, fast forward a couple more years, my niece was like, "Gay." And then when she said gay, it's something. She was like, "Gay, you got to open up your ancestry back up. You got to open it back up." I was like, "Girl, it's like $24.99. $24.99 a month, girl. You know what I could do with $24.99 a month?" We done looked for. She called him my pappy. She said, I think I can find your pappy this time." I said, "Girl, are you serious?" She's like, "Gayla, they have opened up a lot more. There's a lot more things that you can find in Ancestry. I just need you to open it back up." Because, she got all these other programs she paying for. She ain't trying to pay for no Ancestry. So she asked me, I was like, "Yes, Julia, I'll open it back up." So her being a private investigator, she's paying for a whole lot of stuff. So I was like, "Well, yeah, since you're trying to help me, I guess I can do that, right?" with your stingy self. So I went on and opened it back up. And as soon as we opened it up, that's the part I was telling you in the last video, that we were like, because she was logged in and so was I, and we were on the phone together. She's like, "Gay, look, you see that there's a match." I was like, there is a match on my paternal side. A bunch of matches on my my paternal side. Had a bunch of matches on my maternal side. Bunch of folk, white folk, all on that side. And one of the ladies I had reached out to prior in a couple of years, and she said, yes, she knew Nancy. That's her first cousin, and she died, and she gave me a little information about her, but then we kind of we wasn't connected anymore. But she was very kind and very nice. Didn't, people on Ancestry, what trips me out about Ancestry.com is some of these people get on here with their family secrets, still hiding family secrets, and won't open up their family trees. Why you don't want to open up your tree to people? If you're trying to find your long lost family members, open up your darn tree. That irks me. So when I see that, I'm just like, ooh, that really irks me. So it's like, why even bother if you're going to have your tree closed? Because in Ancestry, you can have a public or private tree. And so you're still harboring old, if there's things in people's families that, infidelity, or it is what it is. I wasn't a part of that. I was just in the making of it. I didn't ask to be here. That's what people are saying. So open up your tree to people so they can find you. But anyway, my tree was open. And when we found the hit, it says it could be either half sister or an aunt. That's how it had progressed from 2016 up until 2025. This is just 2025 now. We're in that new, we had searched my daddy from 2016 to 2025. Off and on. We'll mention it every now and then. She'll be like, "Girl, yeah, I'm still doing it on my time off. We gonna find your daddy." And I'm like, "I know. We'll find him." So when we opened that back up, we both saw that hit. And when we saw it, the name said so-and-so, right? So it was, I thought it was a guy, but it was actually a girl. And I won't say her name to protect her privacy, but so we didn't get a reply back. So that's why I got discouraged. I was like, just forget it. Just forget it. Not realizing the person that we were contacting had passed away. Then my heart was broken. I was crushed. I was like, oh my God, we didn't know that she had passed away. So the reason we found out that she was passed away is because her daughter So come to find out, she is my aunt, which is my dad's, my paternal father, his sister. She had put her DNA out there, and that's how my DNA hit her DNA. But she had passed away. Apparently, when she opened up the account, she had put her DNA out there. I don't know the full story, but she had passed away. Yeah. And we found her obituary. She's so beautiful, such a beautiful lady. I was like, oh my God, I wish I could have met her, and see some resemblance, with the cheeks and the yeah. So, okay, so it's an exciting story. So that's why I'm excited. But yeah, so she had passed away, and I didn't get to meet her. So there was another hit when we were out there, probably 2 weeks after that particular time. The person responded back and changed the name, and we were like, oh, she was like, did you see that? Somebody's on there. And we was like, oh my God. So they had changed the name of it and just put like initials. But what it was her daughter. And she said, I am the daughter of this person, your aunt, or mainly the DNA that was hit, because we don't know this yet. We do know that our DNA matches, but she was like, I am her daughter. She unfortunately has passed away, and that's why I was crushed. I was like, oh my God. We're sitting here sending these messages, and this lady is deceased. So my aunt was deceased. And so the young lady that had the boy name, I shouldn't say boy name, but particularly most of the time when you hear this name, it's a male. It's a male's name. So we were looking in the wrong place. We were looking for a male instead of a female. But once she, made that connection, her and my niece got together. She kind of like left a message or something, and then there was another cousin who I just seen that had that my niece reached out to. And she's a professional, and my niece reached out to her, and she's on my page, as I stated. I guess waiting for my story. But without her connection and the niece, we wouldn't be here today. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet them. But what happened was my niece reached out to her, and she called her. She was at work, and she's a professional, and she was like, oh my God. She said, I have to do some research to see which uncle was in Ohio. But if her DNA hit, then that means she's our family. She's family. She belongs to us. So she's like, oh my God, now I have to follow through. I don't know what the exact words were, but Julia was so excited. She said, girl, she said she got to follow through. So she had called me back and told me that, her job related to something that she was working, and that once she got done completing what she was doing at work, that she would actually reach back out to her. So they did. They connected. I apparently was on the phone for a couple hours. And I'm sitting here brewing because I'm like, oh my God. It's happening. I can't believe it. I'm going to actually find my dad after, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24. Almost, it's a long time. My mom has been gone for almost, 10 years. So I would say 8 years we was looking for my dad. And so the cousin connected. She did some research, and she contacted her, and she was on the phone, and they were connecting the dots, and come to find out my dad had migrated to Ohio, because they were from Georgia. They're in Georgia. All my people are basically in Georgia, Alabama, certain parts of it. So on my daddy's side. So my dad ended up he was the only uncle, because there's a lot of them too. It's a lot of them too. It's a bunch of family, aunts and uncles. But my dad was the one who was in Ohio. So I found out that he was a professional as well. He went to school, got his welding. He did a couple of things, and I think he might have opened his own business or something. But so yeah, he was doing very good back in the 60s for himself. And I guess he met my mama doing some work outside of that hospital, and maybe they connected somehow, but it wasn't rape. Thank God it wasn't rape. Yeah, so they connected with each other. Of course, they connected because here I am. So they connected, and I don't know what I know what the issue was. They probably dated for a little while secretly, because like I said, her family was very racist, but because she lived in Cleveland, her family was in Pennsylvania, they did not see any of that. So apparently, they was doing their thing, and she got pregnant, and that's how this all came about. Um, the most wonderful side of this is that, I told you I had two older brothers. Well, I have another brother now. Um, he's a little older than me, and I found out I have a sister who's younger than me. I was ecstatic because I always said I wanted a sister, and I was so elated to know that I had a half sister or sister. I hate saying half stuff. I have a sister out there. So, and we look a lot alike. We look a lot alike. And when she seen my picture and we had made contact with each other, she was like, "Oh my God, yes, you belong to us." But it took her a little while. It sure did, sis. But because she was processing that she had a brother, our dad told her about me. And this is how amazing God is. So our dad told her that he had another child out there, but he thought I was a boy. I don't know why or how that came about. Maybe she told him that to throw him off. I don't know. Or maybe after, they separated, he left and went back, because he left Ohio and went back to Georgia. That's where everything came about. So we found out that he was the uncle that lived in Ohio at the time frame during the time that I was born, and that the sister had just told my other brother that 2 weeks before our search and finding. So that's why I said, my niece was like, "Gay, it's something about this. It's gnawing at my heart. We got to do it now. We got to do it now." And I was like, "Girl, why are you always rushing me? I don't." All right, we'll do it. Cause I had no kind of. I just was like, it is what it is. We've been doing this for so long, but she had that feeling. God put it in her heart, and then that's how it happened. Isn't God amazing? Huh. He's so amazing. But so she told my brother, that 2 weeks before that, we got a sibling out there, right? And he was like, "What? Nah, really?" Because I took care of dad, because my dad has passed away. He passed away in 2007. So I didn't get to meet my dad, but I got siblings. So I'm excited, and the journey of that is coming up. Um, but yeah, so she had told him about that. She said, "We got a sibling out there." She said I had been on her heart and her mind for a long time, and she was looking for me, and that just made my heart feel good. Not literally, because she didn't know where to start probably, but she knew that I was out there, and for her to mention that to my brother 2 weeks before we actually found them, isn't that amazing? I just can't keep saying it enough. That's so amazing. 2 weeks prior to that, she had told him that they had a sibling, but it was a boy. So it took her a while to call me back. We would text, but we didn't have a physical conversation because she was still wrapping her head around, is this my sister? And my daddy told me it was a boy, and now it's a girl, and it's, but the time frame, and then my brother just recently did his DNA, and it was a match. It shows him as my half biological brother. So, meaning we both had the same daddy. So, yep. And there's no doubt about it, because me and her look a lot alike. So she was like, "Yep." But before we even had the DNA test back, I wanted to make sure we had it, because I wanted them to be, I wanted them to know in confidence that I am. But I could just tell. And she has a couple of YouTube videos out there. They're kind of prominent folks, and she's out there on YouTube, and she has her own channel. Her husband does some things. He's pretty prominent. And so I watched a few of her videos, and I was like, "Oh my God, we look so much alike, and our mannerisms are the same." It's so funny. So the thing is with that, I will be meeting them soon. Um, Actually, next month, I'll be meeting my brother and my sister. My other brother and my sister, because I only got one. But my other brother, I will be meeting him. So that's why I named my channel "The Child Loved by Many," because I'm so loved, loved. Um, and as I said, I had a wonderful childhood. Besides the colorism, but I'm pretty sure that's in everybody's family. But when I say protected, loved, never rejected, I can totally say that my life turned out well. You know, am I where I need to be? No, I probably would have been a doctor if I wanted to, but you know what I mean. For a family and just having a great life, and of course struggles. I might tell that on another YouTube, might add on to that channel about my struggles with the growing up with being married. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so that's my journey thus far. Um, and I'm so excited for next month that I'll be meeting my siblings. And yeah, so if you have any questions or if you need any kind of guidance on how to do this, I would definitely say Julia is a good person. If you need her contact information, just let me know. You can send me a message. And on this video, I'm not sure how that works. I'm not a techie person, so don't laugh at me. Um, but I'm sure there's a way that you can reach me through that email as well. The is it chatwithgigi@gmail.com. So yeah, definitely send me a message if you have any questions, or just put it in the chat and let me know, because not every story is going to be, a great ending. Some stories may be very triumphant. Some people may have been abused. Some people may have been put in foster care. I didn't experience any of that, so I can truly say that I had a wonderful life, but not all stories are the same. And what gave me the courage to do this video today is that I think my niece or my daughter maybe had sent me a story about a young lady who her mom beat her tremendously. She was in foster care, and she come to find out she was a family secret, and her mom was pregnant at 13, and her mom had the same dad. So these stories can be very triumphant, very hurtful, very traumatic, triggering. So I can truly say my story isn't. It was a wonderful story. I had some triumphs trying to find my people, and yeah, I was a little upset that they both were passed on, but come to find out that I have a whole nother sister and brother out there, truly amazing. And just can't and praying that there's two aunts left from my understanding. One's 80 and one's 85, I think, and I'm so excited. I want to meet them and hear the stories about my dad. He was a very handsome man too, by the way. And my other brother, my brother looks just like him. He has some good genes, and they say he was a sharp dresser. So if anyone know me from back in the day, I don't really care no more like I used to, but I used to dress my butt off back in the day. I got that from my daddy. My biological. All right, because my other daddy just jeans and t-shirts. He was a rugged man. He's a fisherman. I learned so much from him. Both sides I'm just truly love. So the child that are loved by many, I really am. And I want to say thank you for tuning in to my channel again. I'm probably going to tell more stories. And of course, you got to stay tuned, because after my visit with my birthday, and they're very accepting. We talk and we text a lot. We ain't talked a lot, but we text a lot because they have busy lives. They're doing very well, and I'm so excited for them. And just can't wait to meet them. I really can't. So yeah, that's my story. And I was shy. I'm very shy. And all the and the because when you get nervous, you get the and the umming. So please excuse me. But I just want to say I'm truly glad that I'm able to share my story with people. And as I stated, if there's somebody that needs help out there, just let me know. I don't know what this might lead to, or if you're like, if you've been scared to look for your people, not knowing what you might find on the other end. I was a product of that because I didn't know, especially with the white side. It was a little disheartening, I ain't gonna lie. But it's a lot of them. And to trace your roots back on ancestry is just an amazing thing too. Even on my mom and my dad's side, they have a lot of um, things that are tracked. And as I was saying earlier, on the white side, this thing's tracked from the 1600s. They go back far. But for us, on the black side, not so much. Because like my dad's tree is still not hidden. Only thing that hit from my dad's tree is because my brother did his DNA. And a lot of those, it's like the census, it'll show like their siblings and their people, their mom and their dad, and it says in school, maybe not in school, and these are like teenagers and young kids, so they didn't get to school and like we do now, and it's so unfortunate. So it's a very nifty tool to know your background and where you come from. And my daddy's sides of my roots go back to Togo, Africa. So we like, on mine it says 53% Togo, African. And then I want to say 40 something percent British from my mama's side. And then Scandinavian, a little bit of that in there. But most of the part is Togo. The most of my DNA is from Togo, Africa, and I'm pretty sure that came from my daddy's side. What you think? But anyway, I'm just babbling now, so I'm just thinking about if there's any, like I said, if there's anybody that needs help, just let me know. My niece is tremendous. She knows what she's doing. She's found a few people, even for a young lady that's in Hollywood. I can't say what show, but she found their dad. So she got some skills, and it might have took us a while to find my dad, but she had all the information, and she cried one night. We were on the phone, and she's like, I had this information, but because the other young lady kept corresponding with us, we thought it was on that side where I said the Miller Hill. It wasn't. It was on the totally other side of the spectrum, but somehow all those folks are related somehow on ancestry. So it wasn't like we weren't. She's still related somehow, but where my genes are, it's totally different side of another side of the family. So yeah, it's very interesting. So I hope I can enlighten someone. I hope my story touched your heart. But yeah, truly loved. That's all I can say. Truly, truly loved. And just happy that I was able to do this. So thank you for stopping by my channel. I'll be posting after the fact when I come back from my trip in May, if God's willing, and share that part of my journey with you. All right, thank you so much, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Negro man had been shot and killed as sniper fire came from atop a nearby building.
Bandit Crawford and Huff, the arrest of a man, woman, and child for looting.
Riot on Huff.
The Huff uprising came as a shock to many white residents of Cleveland. As a city that has long regarded itself as the quote best place for a Negro, politicians and journalists blamed outside agitators and radicals for the violence. But as with all urban uprisings, in Black and Latino communities before and after, the violence wasn't spontaneous. Instead, it was rooted in a combination of institutional discrimination, municipal neglect, and tarnished police-community relations. As with many northern cities, the roots of Cleveland's race problems began with the Great Migration. Black Clevelanders achieved remarkable success as some served on the city council as well as judges and state legislators. But this success represented a small fragment of Cleveland's black community, most of whom occupied unskilled and service sector jobs and were largely denied access to the city's booming manufacturing industry and to its labor unions. Discrimination and white resentment increased as more southern black migrants moved to the city in search for employment opportunities and to escape racial terrorism in the South. About 72,000 blacks called Cleveland home in 1930, an increase from about 10,000 in 1910. Blacks settled on the east side and expanded eastward as whites continued to flock to outlying sections of the city and rural areas. Neighborhoods such as Huff and Glenville went from being predominantly white to predominantly black within a decade. By 1960, about 251,000 blacks lived in Cleveland, comprising about 30% of the population. Cleveland was unprepared for this rapid demographic shift, and many white residents resented black newcomers. When Huff went from a middle-class white community to a working-class black community, landlords subdivided homes into small apartments and increased rents in rat-infested, overcrowding homes that were declining in infrastructure. Northern black newspapers reported extensively on police brutality, and Cleveland was no exception. The Call-in Post demanded that the city address the issue. During civil rights protests, particularly one in Little Italy in 1964, the police stood idle by as white counter-demonstrators attacked peaceful marchers. Thus, Huff was a neighborhood plagued by overcrowding in homes and schools, sanitation issues, dilapidated buildings, limited opportunities to escape, repressive police tactics, and filled with businesses ran by white owners who charged predatory prices for goods to a population trapped by poverty and lack of transportation. Although black residents had addressed these issues for years, city officials were lackadaisical about resolving them. The spark of the rebellion occurred at the 79ers Cafe on East 79th Street and Huff Ave on July 18, 1966. Two brothers owned and ran the store, and their majority black patrons reviled them for their treatment of customers. What likely prompted the rebellion began when a black man entered the building to purchase a pint of cheap wine to go and then ask for a glass of water while sitting at the bar. The brothers had long known that some customers had drank wine while asking for water, even though the law mandated that wine be carried out and not consumed on the premise. One of the brothers instructed the bartender to not, quote, give no a drink of water. Livid, the man left and taped a sign onto the bar that read, quote, no water for. Others remembered it reading, quote, this place will not serve colors. Nonetheless, a crowd circulated around the bar shortly after. Despite the brothers' attempt to guard their business, the crowd chased them back into the building. Protesters threw rocks, bottles, and other objects at police once they arrived, and the usual over-exaggerated claims of sniping circulated among law enforcement officials. As with all uprisings of this era, the crowd clashed with police and targeted shopkeepers, often those who were hostile to black patrons, and, for the most part, left black-owned and friendly white businesses alone. When heavy rain entered, the police shot out streetlights and battled alleged snipers who were never discovered. Black protesters were unarmed. Yet, officers kicked in doors, broke up furniture, hurled racial epithets at residents, and chased defenseless women and children from their homes. One woman was killed after sticking her head outside to yell for her children who were separated from her. Despite the chaos and the carnage, on the second day, euphoria clouded the neighborhood since residents were gleeful that they had stood up to law enforcement, which for years had harassed and brutalized them. Despite the police chief's confidence in maintaining order, Mayor Ralph Locher asked the governor to bring in the National Guard, which later restored order in the preceding days. In the end, 4 people were killed, all black, by police officers and one allegedly by a white vigilante from Little Italy. 30 people were injured, and city officials estimated $1 to $2 million in property damage. In the aftermath, city officials and the local press, providing no persuasive evidence, blamed outside agitators and communists. Residents disapproved of the official report and, led by former Congressman Louis Stokes, held a citizen grand jury, which concluded that the uprising was caused by deplorable living conditions, municipal neglect, and rampant police abuse and disrespect for the community. The uprising led many white residents to back future Mayor Carl Stokes. In addition, it led to redevelopment of the Huff neighborhood. The big question is, was the event in Huff a riot or an uprising? For decades, politicians, journalists, and even scholars have used the term riot. But recent scholarly works have pushed back against the term. These scholars have argued that riots insinuate inarticulate expressions of rage, mob, and irrationality, whereas uprisings imply political content short of a full-fledged revolutionary act. Huff, like many uprisings before and after, was indeed a reaction to political grievances that black residents had addressed for years peacefully, and the white power structure either ignored them or resisted calls for change.
A 30